Hello and welcome to another episode of In Conversation. You know what we do here, it always an insightful one. Well, today we're going to be talking more about work integrated learning. There is a need for academics and the workplace to be brought together. And joining me to talk more about this is Prof. George. Prof. George, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Bongani.
Yes, well, Prof, you of course have many projects, but today we are here to speak more about one, which is the work integrated learning. Prof, can you give me an overview of this project?
Thank you very much, Bongani, for asking and giving me the opportunity to come and speak to UJ, which is one of the leading institutions in Africa.
Indeed.
And number two is that we like to say that to your viewers and the scholars as well as students and graduates that we had the privilege of meeting UJTV to discuss this matter of critical importance in our country. This project is about taking students that are coming from TVET colleges, universities of technology, universities, as well as, which is academic universities, as well as those that have completed their professionals, and they need to be registered as professional agencies or professional students or graduates with the professional associations, like your EXA, your SAISI, your SAICA, your SAIE. There's a number of them. And this program is also assisting in terms of giving opportunities between knowledge, which is theory, and the practical work. So students are being exposed in a work environment and also being seconded with a number of supervisors for them to have appropriate experience of work. On top of that, we do pay them a monthly stipend for the students that need a diploma and that are going through an internship. We pay them $5,600 a month. For those that are graduate, we pay them $6,000. And those that are professional candidates, we pay them $7,000. And the duration is not less than 12 months. Some are getting 18 months. Professional candidates, for instance, is 36 months that they need to be placed on the program. For engineering students, we place them for 24 months. For those that have graduated in other fields, they required a minimum of 18 months. And those that are needing, particular from TVET universities, technological universities, we always took a placement of 12 months, depending on the needs. And this is accompanied by letters from the academic institutions, accredited with the Department of Higher Education and Training. The funding for this initiative is coming from the Department of Higher Education National Skill Fund. Within UJ, we placed about 110 students out of these 516. And some of them are doing a diploma, and some are graduates, and in the engineering field, others are in operations. And the other group, which is my favorite group, is the students that are placed under Sol Kesner School of Tourism and Hospitality.
Here at the APB, yes. And Prof, there are two things that are standing out for me. The first one, I think, is to understand professional. What do we mean by professional in this context?
Yeah, professional candidates are students. For instance, if you were to do engineering, you are required to do approved town plannings in terms of policies. So you need to be a professional engineer to do that. If you are supposed to do articles as an accountant, you need to be accredited with SAICA, for instance. Yes. That's the professional candidates we're talking about.
That is very interesting, because I do have a friend, just to make it a little bit personal, was also saying before he can do his master's, he needs such an experience, which is coming to be a very important project to students that are coming from universities. And Prof, it is, of course, important for me to also understand the objectives. What are the objectives of this program that we're talking about today?
Yeah, thank you very much. You'll know that the university, like University of Johannesburg,
yes,
is rated as one of the best universities in terms of research, development, technology, innovation, and commercialization. And we have placed a mass emphasis on these graduates so that the university is strategically positioned to be a center of excellence in terms of job creation. Yes. We expect that this will also support the TVET colleges. Yes, that needs a lot of support. So this program is about placing graduates for them to have practical experience in terms of work, also supporting graduates to be innovative in terms of research, and then coming up with solutions. The program, for instance, we are going to have a program, yes, on the 12th and 13th September, okay, where we are inviting industry partners, yes, as well as the academics and the same students throughout our province, yes, to make sure that they are exposed in terms of job opportunities in this program. So we're exposing them on job opportunities. We're also exposing them on the industry so that they come out with innovative ideas in changing our country and our continent.
And our continent, indeed. And that is where actually I wanted to take my following question as to how do you envision this program also impacting the society at large? Because society has sent their kids to come into these educational institutions. How then are these kids going back to assist the society at large?
Thank you very much for that. For instance, we took about 27 of the students in the Department of Mechanics within UJ. And these students are doing mechanics, and they are placed in some of the traditional township areas in Gauteng, where they are also empowering communities and those that are not privileged enough to attend universities, so that we can have this understanding of mechanics and use that as an opportunity to create job and diversify our economy as well. That's one area. The second area is that I have mentioned to you that we have a lot of students that have done a diploma in operational management. And in our country, we're talking about 257 municipalities, of which 114 of those municipalities are called water service authorities. The major problem in terms of the report that we have is that only 5% of 257 municipalities are financially viable. And the main problem in all reports is either governance or poor preventive maintenance system in place. So if we were to work with the municipalities, and remember the reason why it's critical for UJ is that at UJ you have students coming across Africa. So we needed to start somewhere, and therefore we focus on these 100 in UJ so that we can expand the opportunities to other countries, including our own municipalities that we have. That will be a social impact that we are going to have. The second one is that we want to know and create an opportunities for students to work in municipalities as using technology in terms of dealing with issues of non-revenue water, looking at energy solutions, and then food production. If we have to focus on those three, then we are able to make and unlock opportunities for Africa Free Trade Agreement in terms of Africa Agenda. That's the area that we're looking at. And you must also recall that within Southern Africa, we share responsibilities with water. For instance, South Africa depends largely on Lesotho, on water. So those are the initiatives that we want these students to be exposed on and working with industry before they finish their honors and masters as well. To me, if we were to choose which student would you take? I will take students that are doing diploma, and then they must do advanced diploma. Yes. But in the period, this is a model UJ is specializing on. Yes. In the period whilst they are doing their honors, they do practical work with institutions and industries. In that way, you are revising the policy, you are reviewing the curriculum, you are making UJ more relevant to customers and industry partners.
And you get into society very much equipped.
Yes.
You be equipped as a student. And
yes.
that really provides a direction and people to contribute to the greater society.
Excellent.
To actually make improvement in our local municipalities and within South Africa and beyond.
That's very important. I mean, I was coming now to a meeting with some of the student planning for the 12 and the 13 where we're having a workshop. Yes. They are so excited because they're engaging with real work. You know, where they are going to be in charge of their own destiny and developing programs for themselves. So this is an opportunity that we think we are going to have.
Yeah, because to integrate the workspace and the learning space, Prof, it is one thing that students really want so bad, to be able to apply what you learn in the classroom for the practical solutions in the outside world. And sticking on that, Prof, this project is big, and I believe there are partnerships. I want us to establish some of the partnerships. Of course, the Department of Education is involved. What are some of the partners that we have in the country and internationally?
Thank you very much. We had a high delegation from China. In other words, institutions that are called state-owned enterprises in China, yes. As well as governors in China, on the 9th of May at Ratsin Hotel, where we resolve that there should be a China-South Africa vocational education and technology program. Yes. And that program has been in a process, have been discussed with the Department of Higher Education at a DG level, Director General, which is in terms of PFMA is an accounting officer. We are in a process of planning an international trip to China where we are going to look at twinning between the TVET colleges of China and South African colleges, twinning between universities and between the two countries. And the third leg of it is that we want also to have an exchange program between China and South African students. We want to focus more on the operational side, because if we're to deal with issues that deal with basic services, we need those at a municipal level. So that focus is very critical. And we negotiated with them to say we'll provide China at around 80 if the Department of Higher Education is agreeing to that. And then we also want to have an exchange program where some of the students from China can be placed in institutions like UJ and other industry partners. So we have that relationship being discussed and supported by the decision makers of China.
Wow, because that is actually now, it's exchange skills, you know.
Yes.
You bring expertise from China and the same expertise from South Africa to go and see other environments such that they'll discover how to actually build our country going forward. This is really a powerful project, Prof. And out of, as the number that you mentioned, around 80 or so in the operational skills, how do you envision the selection process to be for others to be part of such a great project? Because me listening to you, I'm really intrigued by it. Being as a young person who's academically and now being equipped in terms of going to a workspace, I'm really intrigued. And now the selection process, how does it happen?
By the way, I want to say thank you to you, because to be interviewed by somebody at your age is very much a privilege to me, an honor. You make to, I mean, if I were to ask some of the students, they will be actually see that we are serious about work integrated learning.
Indeed.
But we felt that that is not enough to say they are working in some of the industries. We also want to have a promotion of skills. In other words, we're going to have competitions between South African students and graduates, as well as Chinese students. And as to how the student come out with the solution in terms of competencies and skills, that should be done by them. That's the criteria that we're going to use, the current one that are already in the work integrated learning. and start from there and then expand that program in an incremental way. So for me, the criteria is that first we must be part of the WHEEL program,
Yes.
and delegated, selected by the Chinese and the South African panel, which has been put in place already with a company called BRICS Trade International Company, which is going to be starting its program, subject to the visit to China on the 29th of July up to the 7th of August 2024. Once that is done, we'll be able to start with the competition. We'll then have to come and present that competition criteria to all the participant or interested partners. And that is going to have, because we already have a task team that has been put in place to work on that.
Yes, Prof. And what are some of the outcomes that you have for the vocational skills competition as you're coming back? What do you hope to have achieved there?
We feel that UJ as a university is leading in terms of IT solution, in terms of engineering, in terms of built environment, in terms of technology, as well as tourism and hospitality. But what we felt is a gap is that this is not done at a TVET college level. So we want now to deal with issues of vocational education, artisan skills, which university like UJ should champion as a center of specialization. And that, to me, is going to make a huge difference.
But of course, running also such a project, there are challenges. What are some of the challenges that you have encountered thus far in the program?
We didn't, actually. Remember that we are sitting with 36% unemployment of youth in the country. And majority of those is graduates as well that are graduated on programs that are not relevant. So we're saying for this program, with partnership with China, we're going to have short learning programs to bridge the gap so that they are industry driven. So that's the strategy that we are going to employ, whereby there is an interventions, but only on areas of specialization driven by technology. You will recall that UJ, for instance, have launched an initiative in 2020 with the Water Research Commission, where they look at fourth industrial revolution in the water sector. And the crisis that we are facing in the water sector can be solved by these students. I think that's the area that we are going to pick up is water, energy solutions, as well as food production. And if we're to finalize on those areas and prioritize using technology, we'll be able to address a number of areas. Some of those that are in academy will say focusing on throughput in terms of theory of constraints analysis.
And those are really key sectors in our daily lives. And of course, Prof, you also touch on the two important countries. You did mention that us as UJ also pride ourselves in technological advancements amidst the fourth industrial revolution. And also China has groundbreaking technologies. How then do you see the students actually gaining the technological advancement skills from this trip as well?
We plan this trip in such a way that it has twofold approach. The first one, go and do a proper benchmarking exercise, right? Because that banking exercise will assist in terms of adjusting ourselves through the universities and the TVET colleges in South Africa. And remember, we already have done some of the preliminary work. So we're not starting something new, but we want to make sure that we are bridging the gap so that we are becoming global competitive. We chose China and Russia for that, for two reasons, because they're also part of BRICS, right? We wanted to have a competition in which South Africans are inspired by the development of these two countries. That's the first level. The second level is to make sure that we are not focusing on consumer approach. We want localization and commercialization coming from the students in universities like UJ, but working at the same time with TVET colleges. You recall, for me, TVET colleges are where communities are.
Indeed.
And that is, you're talking about access to technology. That's the approach that we have. With the partnership with the Department of Higher Education, we have 21 TVET colleges already seen as centers of specialization. And that is the area that we are going to focus on throughout South Africa.
Prof, I'm stunned because this is a well-oiled machine. The way how this is all student-centric, it's on equipping students and making their lives better and ultimately connecting to the broader society. And I also like the as you said, the unemployment rate is above 36%, which means with the challenges part, you had really nothing to lose but more to gain. At this point, we are more to gain, trying to expose students to opportunities that they never had before. So my next question would be now, how does then this project, you have answered me in a way or another, but just for clarity for the viewer, how does then the program align with broader community-based sustainable management and observation systems?
I like that concept. We have piloted the concept called Cosmos, which is, if we were to look at it literally, it's about universe. We see university as part of universe. And we also see university to change the universe and the environment where we are. And the concept itself is referring to community-based sustainable management. And management can be water, energy, and food. And then observation system, it means driven by Internet of Things and technology. That's the observation system we're talking about. Now, that's a concept that we brought with the chairmans. And we piloted it in Mpumalanga in South Africa, and it worked with Water User Association. So it's a concept that has been proven by European Union. And on the basis of that, you asked me earlier on our other partners. We are having the Canada that is going to come on board on this program. We are also going to have UK in terms of infrastructure investment model, which is one of the universities that we are going to work with is Surrey University in UK. So those are the opportunities that we are creating for this initiative. With the Russian, for instance, they came in South Africa on the 20th of May. We met here at UJ, where we're discussing about how do we convert the algae that you see in a number of water resources in the country, including the Vaal, the Loskop Dam, the Hartesport Dam, into fertilizers. And this is critical for commercialization as well as improving food in our country as we're exposed by COVID-19. And therefore improvement in terms of efficiencies, in terms of water and water reuse is more critical so that we deliver on food production in the country and therefore aligning ourselves with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and the AU agenda.
This is really top-notch, Prof. Now, it's a matter of how then does one get to be part of all this in terms of where can they access more information and how can students and graduates avail themselves for such opportunities?
I don't know how to express to our faculty of engineering and built environment under Professor Daniel Mashayo.
Yes.
Prof have taken people like us as professors of practice and said, please bring industry into our initiatives. And this is what we're doing.
Definitely.
And this is now fitting very well with Objective 3 of UJ, which is international partnership. On one hand. On the other hand, we're also dealing with issues of socio-economic impact.
True.
Which is focusing on TVET colleges that are coming from remote areas, which is now going to affect development in the country. So it's a turnaround strategy that we're looking at.
Wow, impressive, Prof. The wows are keep on coming because this project is touching as it is dealing with fundamentals of society. We educate students so that they can implement change, and that is needed through going through the work system and integrating education and the workspace itself. And now, Prof, almost towards the end of our interview, what are some of the long-term goals for Work Integrated Learning Program?
We'll be happy to start with the 21 centers of specialization identified by the Department of Higher Education and Science and Technology.
Yes.
For two reasons: that we want to perfect the model that we're coming up with and the approach so that we have an impact to communities. And this must be followed up by integrated rural and urban infrastructure investment models aligned to the Cabinet 5 priorities, which is looking at transferring skills in terms of technology, upscaling as well as retraining the current workforce towards utilization of technology. And that's the first one. The second one is to adjust ourselves to the renewable energy strategy that have been developed global to adapt to climate change. And for doing that, we need to have localization and local manufacturing. I mean, if you talk about a city like Ekurhuleni, that's your opportunity to do a lot of manufacturing. That's an opportunity there. And secondly, we have the best farmers in our country. Some of our farmers, when I was in Kenya in 2018, I've met a lot of South African farmers there. DRC Congo, for instance. If we come with this initiative, we also want to harness how to improve production of food, and then we extend ourselves into a sort of export-driven approach in food production rather than importing food in the country. That, to me, is the third area that we want to have. The fourth one, is around the issues of multilateralism. We are living in the Southern Africa. For instance, I want to have and persuade decision makers to focus on ocean economy as a focus that we need to have, and equally focusing on looking at technology that deals with desalination, so that if we are talking about water scarcity in South Africa, we utilize water from the sea, but the focus must not output-driven approach. It must be input and throughput approach. What I mean by that is that you want to use the students in the engineering field to look at desalination as a focus to long-term investment in terms of new skills that may be required in engineering field. So we must be thinking outside the box. That's what we're looking at. So for me, the water scarcity in South Africa is an ideological matter. If we're to apply economic model in water, we're not having the problems of water scarcity. So that's an approach that we're looking at. The last one is that we need to be part of international community. So we need to globalize our approach. We don't have students that should be looking at localization only. We need to have students that are internationalists. And that's how China and the Asian tigers took over the world without a single bullet.
And they did. China's international is global.
And this is an opportunity as professional professors of practice. We are given this opportunity by our dean, for instance, and other deans, and the council. And this is an opportunity that we can contribute into the country to bring experience into the academy as well.
And you showed it as a professor of practice. You took it with both hands. And you are handing the torch to the students now, which is really amazing. We're grateful to have people like you actually that really cultivate and continue to cultivate.
But that is the leadership.
That is leadership
of UJ that saw that opportunity. That say, for us to deliver more, we need professors of practice. This is a role that we have to play.
Indeed, and the expansion also, bringing on the TVETs and these other colleges, as you said, that we're setting a benchmark and we are leading in these sectors. So therefore, we must also share that knowledge with others. Well, Prof, we're almost at the end of our interview. We usually have a thing that we call Monday Motivation. This is for anyone who's looking at us. So that is your camera. Maybe just a word of motivation to someone watching us. Could be a student, could be fellow colleagues, anyone who's watching us right now. Or what would be your message of inspiration to them?
I want to say Africa is rich with minerals as well as human resources. I have demonstrated during the induction in South Africa of graduates and that you can put the whole world to fit in Africa. And why? Because we have raw resources and we have human resources and we have the youngest population. That is an opportunity that we have. So the future growth of the world depends on Africa's agenda.
Wow.
And that we need to master together. And that is, in the book that I've written called Nation Building Plan, it's called Restoration of Pride through Wealth Creation. Let me repeat, restoration of pride through wealth creation. And restoration pride focusing on production, reindustrialization, because all nations that are advanced in economy have reindustrialized. We need innovation, and that depends on our program with bilateral agreements that we're talking about in terms of innovation. And we want to domesticate our programs. That is why we need local manufacturing for us to develop our own enterprises that responds to demands that we need. And that is a response to have. And this can be achieved through using wealth, which is your water, your energy, your agriculture, your land optimization, your technology and health. And that's what we call the wealth creation. So let's restore, Bongani, pride to create wealth. That's the words that I'm using.
I'm definitely going to read that book. I need that book because wow, the meaning and the message that it needs, these are the pillars of society. These are what we need to reclaim as the African continent. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Prof, for coming through. Well, yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure and eye-opening interview. I'm glad you came through.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
thank you to yourself and your team and your viewers.
Thank you so much.
God bless you. Bye.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, dear viewers. It was my talk with Prof. George. Trust me, work integrated learning is a need. We need to restore pride through wealth creation. My name is Bongani. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode.